didn't mean to press live. I was actually trying to go through the settings, so apologies for the shaky camera while I set it up still. I do have my headphones in here today too, so the feedback may be the feedback. And we have to do this in the shade because if you don't know, when you do recordings outside, the sun and the camera don't go well together. It's not a good mix, if you will. So I wanted to come here and go live coming off of my trip with the wind up shop yesterday. As you guys saw, I wasn't able to communicate with you guys like I normally do because obviously I was having the conversations and I didn't want to be rude and just, break up the flow to the actual interview itself. So I wanted to give you guys a chance to ask any questions if you have them. But I also wanted to discuss what were some of the things during that wind up shop that I didn't talk about that I felt was important as well? After the interview, we kind of had a little fatigue, if you will. There's much more to the shop, so I'm gonna let some people roll in. But first, let's not commit the cardinal sin and let's do a wristwatch check. So I'm wearing the Squale 1521, end of summer type of thing. You have to wear it while you can, and you have the nice weather. It's a little bit cooler now to do things outside and recordings and such like that. So that's what we're doing here today. I have some watches with me, some of which I showed while we were at that live interview. And I didn't show it all because I wanted to focus on watches that maybe or maybe not they didn't see just yet. But there were a few watches that I didn't get to show, and there were a few watches that I brought, particularly if they had, let's say, a different version of it. But we'll get into that. Eric is in the building. Good morning, sir. How are you? Michael's in here as well. Megazoid is in the building this time. You got me on the playback last time, bro. I always appreciate you coming in. G-Shock on wrist for Michael. Fantastic. Can't go wrong. I don't care whatever model you have with G-Shock. And by the way, the Wind Up Shop did have G-Shock, and they're planning to do an event with them as well. We're going to be there. That's the thing that I want to talk to you guys about. They're looking to grow the Wind Up Shop. I didn't realize how new the Wind Up Shop was to the actual setup. They've been there about just a year, but all encompassing, it's a really, really nice setup. And I want to talk about one of the things that you didn't see, right? I didn't get to film the other side of where we were. So we were more in a secluded area where we can be uninterrupted in our interview. Shout out, by the way, to Nina. Shout out to Teo. Shout out to Ricardo. I mean, I really felt welcomed completely. They really took care of me with white glove service from the first interaction, from the emails to the setup. They really wanted to make a dedicated space and time for me to talk watches with them. So I had a fantastic time doing so because of that and everything else. So random ride, random Rob edition notice today. Nice. Can't go wrong with that one. I'm gonna suspect that that's an orange colorway, if you will. Your live yesterday was great. Thank you, Megazoid. I do appreciate that, man. Shout out also, very important shout out right here. Now that you say that, Mega, shout out to the wife. Her camera skills is getting phenomenal. She's getting nice with it. We're getting a little fancy. We're getting better. The learning professional, not only with what we know, knowledge on actual watches, but also with doing all the fancy stuff behind the scenes to make a better experience for you guys. So big shout out to the wife. We watched that yesterday as a rerun in the TV, and we took some notes down and everything else. But I'll tell you what, the meat and potatoes of that interview, the essence of it, the ethos of it, was another thing that I want to talk about. That I have to say was perfect. There was a synergy between Teo and I, where when we were talking watches, wherever I left off, he picked up. So it was really just perfect, man, and everything else. So again, one thing to note is at the wind up shop, they were actually hosting a vintage kind of event there. They had Michael down there and his brand and everything else. He will be at wind up, so we will go to the lemonade stand to make sure to refresh the ideas that he has for vintage watches. But they're also going to be hosting events in the future, different kind of themes and everything else. So we are going to cover as much as we can, as much as we're invited to. Hopefully we're invited to a lot. And yeah, it's in line with what I'm trying to produce here on the channel. As you guys know, micro brands, or what I like to call them, is watch enthusiast brands, are my meat and potatoes as well. It's something that fascinates me. It's what fired me up. It's what got me here on YouTube. So that's something that we're going to focus on. And as we're speaking about it, it's only proper that we show some micro brand watches, right? I show you guys the Venetianico all the time, and I actually had that with me, the Nerede gold dial. The reason why I brought that watch with me is because I was hoping that they had the new release of the 39 so you guys can see the differences in how it progressed. We talked about the website version. So I did speak about how they're listening to the watch enthusiast and making the adjustments to make them happier. And that, again, I'm going to tie a lot of things into the wind-up shop because not only was my enthusiasm accelerated from the 2023 and onward, but also after sitting down with them and really getting the behind the scenes and having those heart-to-heart conversations, I've realized that the wind-up shop and the company as a whole, right? Really focuses on getting the feedback to enthusiasts, delivering what they feel is going to be the best experience that you guys can have. And that gets extended down to the shop, if you will, as well. And you guys know that these watch enthusiast brands don't have ADs, or some of them have very limited AD interaction where you can see stuff in person. So outside of the show, you can go to the shop, you can request a virtual thing if you're too far away. That's something that I want to make sure everybody knows as well, right? They take appointments virtually. So you can request to see a specific watch that is a web-based brand, a micro brand, if you will. And they'll showcase it to you. They'll cut out a dedicated time to show you the watch in person, answer all the questions, everything else. It's the customer service aspect that we often talk about from brands, but also being extended to the wind up shop and having that experience all together. So speaking of micro brands, Mark Time just released their M6. They have to crack on that one. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to be reaching out to Mark Time. In fact, thank you for bringing that up. He's going to be, I'm sure, I think he's going to be at the Philly show. So you can go and see that if that's local enough for you, if you can make it to the Philly show that they're having. That is before Wind Up. I believe it's already going to be September, so it's going to be within this month, and it's the beginning. I think it's the 8th and 9th. Don't quote me. Go to the website, phillywatchfair.com, I think it is. And that's going to be worth going to because this is their second year and they've grown with the amount of vendors that they have there. But even when they were in their first year, they had fantastic companies. Dufresne was there, East Stolman, Sal Baltimore. I think Cincinnati Watchworks, I think were there as well. There were a few other names. If I missed you, I do apologize, but it was very intimate, which had its silver lining and it had its strengths. You were able to spend more time at the table. You were able to have deeper conversation with those brands, and therefore it wasn't lost on me to attend that as well. And I think you guys should do that too if you have the time and the resource to make your way down to the Philly show. And then of course we have the Super Bowl of Super Bowls when it comes to watch shows, and that's the Wind Up in New York. And that, my friends, I'm super excited for. Your wife did a great job. The tripod may help. Yes, yes, yes. We spoke about that. I have the tripod right here. We are going to do that kind of setup, especially for interview style Megazord for sure. We talked about that, and we're going to bring the watch to the tripod instead of bringing the rig to the watch to reduce the shaking because it's fine on the phone, but on TV was a little. I got the 70-inch screen TV, so it was a little, shaky. But at the end of the day, man, she still captured the essence, the ethos. She captured expressions and just natural vibes that we were having and everything else. So that was great. Larry says, Skylar, good to catch you on the live, brother. It's good to have you on the live, man. This is what makes it worth it, Larry. So as much as you're appreciative, I'm appreciative of you as well. So as I stated before, what I didn't show you guys, and I will show you guys the next time that I go down there, is the other section when you first walk into the wind-up shop. They have all of the watches out on display. And one thing that you saw in the background of the video that we shot yesterday, watches were in cases. That's not how it is when you're on the other side of the room. Everything is totally out. Think about how the wind-up shows are, and there's no cases, there's no restrictions. You put as many watches as you want on your wrist. You don't even have to put it back on the watch roll. They'll do that for you. They just want you to come down and experience the watches. It's not even about selling. Selling is the byproduct. They don't care if you purchase anything. You could take as much time as you want. You could ask as many questions as you want. And they're very knowledgeable on everything that they had there, which was showcased when I had that interview with Teo as well. So gotta shout out the Wind Up Shop for sure, man. And just give you guys my experience. I'm still coming off of the high of how the entire experience felt and how it left me feeling like, wow, their mission statement is organic growth and genuine connection. That is in the forefront of what they're trying to produce, and that's what they're selling you if they're selling you anything else. So that's what I'm gonna showcase that. Leo, hello, are you? How are you, sir? Welcome to the live stream. It's been nearly completed. It's been nearly a complete year since my last watch purchase. I'm getting the itch real bad. Michael, that's a fantastic achievement, my friend. As a watch enthusiast, I know how hard that could be. So that's a good plan to move forward when purchasing watches that are more expensive. I actually want to implement that now that I've raised the bar in the price set that I'm going after. But I'll tell you what, Michael, what will happen is when you finally do settle down on something for the year, if you do, maybe you wait, maybe you don't. It's going to be all that more special, and you could have more bang for buck because you're saving up in a longer duration of time. So shout out to you, congratulations for waiting so long, but I know the itch must be real. Forget about having chicken pox, forget about getting poison ivy. That itch is a lot worse, and there ain't no cream for it. The only cream for it is if you buy a watch. So you know, I caught up on chat. Let's go down. I am personally torn between the Cartier XL tank versus the Solar Beat. What's your opinion on sizing, Skylar? My wrist is 6.75. Dude, here's the deal, man. And responsibly answering that question is as follows. It's whatever makes you happier. My only suggestion to you would be to wrist both watches if possible in person and go with whatever helps and whatever you like the fit and finish to be once you have that on your wrist. Because here's the deal, I can tell you this watch or that watch will be better, but at the end of the day, dude, it's going to be on your wrist. And you may take my suggestion and get the watch and just not like how it's sitting on your wrist. So, dude, honestly, the best responsible answer that I could give for you for that is just get both watches on wrist if you're seriously considering them. Don't only go buy online. That also ties into the wind up shop and how you're able to do so if you go in person. So that would be exactly my thoughts on that, if you will. I know it's a little bit of a scapegoat, but dude, I'm trying to save you some aggravation and frustration in getting a watch, and it's happened to me. I purchased many watches online that were like, I'll tell you what, my Bullet Luna Pilot lug to lug, I am okay with it. The overhang is not so bad, and I think that that's the most um important measurement for people who are putting watches on wrist. They don't want the overhang from lug to lug, which is bone to bone. So my Bullet Luna Pilot was an example of that. I purchased that online. It went on sale on Amazon. I pulled the trigger. I heard it had a lot of good reputation. This was very early on in my collection. I still could pull it off. I got that bad boy on a leather strap, but it's one of the ones where it's right on the borderline. So if you like it, I love it. And that may not bother you, right? Having a bigger lug to lug may not bother you. You may love oversized watches. And if that's the case, dude, don't worry about the external on how it fits. Worry about what really resonates with you and look at your collection. And I'll give you an example. We looked at this Wise yesterday, and I'll tell you something. The fit on this watch and how it sits on my wrist, how it's flush to the bone, how the bracelet drapes over, I really feel like the watch was designed for my wrist specifically, right? So, and there was no way for me to know that until I wrist the watch. And I don't think that there's a watch currently right now that fits better than that watch, especially it having the bezel and the bezel insert. So it's going to be a little bit thicker naturally because of that. But dude, I love that watch, and I really see how that impact me. That's a 40 millimeter as well. So, and I could still wear a 42, no problem. Again, as long as the lug to lug is fine. Yes, sir. I actually love the date window on the XL. I hit the shop here, and there you go. There you go. So, those are other things that go along with it, right? After the watch fits your wrist properly, it comes down to what features matter to you most. Teo mentioned to me that a date wheel is very important to him. Some people don't care, they don't mind. So, you have to make sure that you're getting what you want out of the watch. If you look at your wrist and you often look at that date to know what day you're in, then it comes down to that as well. Between the two watches, what has what in functions, finish, spec, and also complication. Very important thing for sure. My wrist is 8.75 big wrist, and I have worn a 36 to a 46. Eric, thank you so much for saying that as well. That's another thing that we touched on yesterday's interview about how smaller watches are becoming more sought after, or at least what we're seeing is just because you have a larger size wrist, like my man Eric here, doesn't mean that you can't put a 36 millimeter on your wrist for certain. Because again, Does that watch make you happy? Are you resonating with it? It may have a fantastic story behind it that you are very appreciative of, and you've talked yourself out of wearing a fantastic watch because you're like, well, I have an 8 point something wrist, and a 36 is going to be considered small. Considered small to who? The rest of the world? I'm out here doing a live stream in public. What do we care about what other people think? Do what it make. Listen, not to go so deep into this, but we only go around the carousel ride one time, my friend. So life is too short. Wear what you love to wear, wear what you like as far as the story and the attachment to the watch. That matters most. And then from there, enjoy the timepiece for sure. Profile pick is vintage 1949 Hamilton. Hamilton, I love Hamilton. I'm looking at the Murph for sure. I don't know when I'm gonna get that watch. It's one of those watches where it's like sometime within the timeline of collecting, I may have to shift a few things and move things around. But the story behind it, the attachment to the movie Interstellar, I like the hour hand on it, right? And I do want the one that has the code on the second hand. I think that that's fantastic. So Hamilton, you can't go wrong, really. Honestly, like you can go any model at that point. They have fantastic watches. I haven't gotten a Hamilton into the collection just yet, so I think that my Hamilton Murph will have to be the first one for sure. Ben 10 is in the building. And, sir, I did read your comment. I read all your comments yesterday just to see what you guys were talking about. And going back to my shout out to the thank yous, I want to thank all the moderators and everybody else who tuned in and joined into the conversation and kept things fluid. Moderators were on point to keeping it classy. Ben 10, you wanted to see this? I'm out in public too, bro. Super chat. There was just an echo me doing that. Let's calm down a little bit. But I couldn't reach chat Ben 10 at that point. It would have been funny. There will be more events that we're recording, and I will do this because it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt. But yeah, man, what's on my wrist? The Squally 1521 Oceanic version. Dude, it's I could feel the change in season. It's getting a little cooler. That's why I'm able to do this out here without having the phone overheat. And I want to start rocking some of the summer stuff, even the straps that I have. I have a deployment strap on here. The colorway for the strap matches the actual minute hand phenomenally. And I'll tell you what, man, since we're on the subject of this Squale, I didn't realize the recessed in the crown. That bugs me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it does. And does it bug me enough that I want to get out of the watch? No, but I always say that crown size matters. If a crown is too small, if it's too tucked away, if you're fishing for it, a lot of that interaction with the crown is very important. It's how we connect to our watches on a daily basis, especially when you have a larger collection and you're rotating watches daily. You're gonna have to wind them suckers. So I always say, not only does the size matter, not only does the finish, because if there's a heavy polishing it, you guys see my Casio Edifice, that's where I think they went wrong. The crown is not too small, but with a polished finishing, you lose gripability. Yeah, gripability, baby. So therefore, it can take away from that user experience, and that's important. Dean says, "Hi, brother. It's been a while since we've texted. On my wedding day, I wore my dad's old Imperial Armani tank. He passed 20 years ago. I'm sorry for your loss, man. I'm really sorry for your loss. He thought it was only proper to include him in that way, dude. And I'll tell you something. That's a super, super duper special watch. And guess what? This is why watches are more than just trinkets and more than just a monetary trade for something like that, because that story is super special. Again, I apologize. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry that he wasn't with you, but he was with you in that type of way. And now that you got married, you said your vows in that watch, you took him with you. And man, that watch is going to go down in history for your collection too. I did see Watching James. Let me see what you text, brother. You said hello. You made it for the live. Trap Vision is in the building as well. All of the OGs are pouring in. So now it's a super party. It was already a party, but now it's a super party. Style affects size for me. Style affects. Okay, so the style of the watch. You get a lot of conversation where you say that it wears like a blase, and that can be from also not just the style, but also we talked about the finishing. there are aspects on the way the polishing is done on the sides of watches where it can make it look slimmer. I've seen that. It does happen. It's just your eyes playing that type of game. So the style design, that can also matter to how a watch is going to fit on your wrist as well. All of that does factor in. And look, as you mature as a collector, these are the things that you are learning about yourself through these timepieces and realizing what works and what doesn't work for you. So I definitely can understand how a style of a watch also affects it, because for me, those that tank style, like I had the Vario Reversa, fantastic watch. I passed it on to my brother-in-law because he went with me to a show where I won it in a raffle. But the point was that I had it on wrist, and for me, it was beautiful, and I loved the ingenuity to it. Right, Vario did a fantastic job coming out with his design to have a reversible kind of face, getting away from the Cartier tank, but it just didn't resonate with me for the design overall, even though it was a fantastic watch. So it depends on also, so those shapes, those rectangular shapes, if you will, it just doesn't go for me. And even though someone else sees it on my wrist and says, nah, man, that works, it just didn't speak to me. So I completely understand that for sure, James. I seen this brand called Rio 11 AD. They had some nice watches. I think it's a micro brand. I'll look into that, Ben 10. Thank you so much. My Omega was my grandfather's. He wore his naval carrier, but you guys are putting in chat these watches that were passed down to you, and I'm envious. Unfortunately, my grandfather passed away. He had a watch that he wore every day, right? Because that's what they did. He did serve in World War II. And my family just I tried to reach out to them to see if I could get it. I wasn't able to, but I'm trying not to get emotional on camera, but that would have been such a special watch for me to own. And at this point, the only thing that I can do is align myself where I can pass on watches and make watches very special, even if it's something like my F91W, right? Like I may go on to have an extravagant collection and more impressive pieces, by price point, by spec, by whatever it is that you value more, but the person that I pass on my F91W may value that even more than anything else, because as you guys know, I double wrist that watch every single day. So the watch that was with my father, hopefully we have kids, uh, is the watch that he wore every single day. So I love the fact that you guys are sharing this. And I'll tell you what, man, hold on to that, because coming from a person that doesn't have a watch that was passed down onto me, it is, and it means the world, especially as a watch enthusiast. But that's the thing, you can tell the magic from it, because there are a lot of people that had these heirlooms that were passed down to them, and they're not necessarily watch enthusiasts or watch collectors. But I'll tell you what, man, they'll tell you straight to your face, this watch is not going anywhere for that story and for that reason and that connection to the watch. And there's no stronger connection, in my opinion. There's no stronger connection at all. My Omega was my, yep, I read that. Thank you for reading the comments and responding, brother. It means a lot. Also, I really thinking to get a new edifice with a carbon dial. Dude, I'll tell you what, man, if you like the black or white, the Windup shop does have that. They just received the batch coming in. So apparently Casio didn't make a crazy amount of them because they went out of stock themselves. I'm sure that as they see the sales going through, it will be more plentiful. But I can tell you this, man, this is my opinion on it, and I do own it. I did pay for it. Casio didn't provide it. It's worth it. It's worth it if it intrigues you to the utmost, any kind of level. You're not going to be disappointed. Don't expect it to be the best thing since sliced bread, right? I don't know how nerdy you are about the specifications that you're expecting out of it. However, everybody who has purchased the watch and just didn't have an opinion can tell you that they were actually surprised about how good that watch was. And you guys saw the strap that I put with it. So there is one at least option that works fairly well with the Casio edifice, and I'll give you a link for that if you do decide to pull the trigger. So if you do get that, Dean, post that wrist shot in the community tab of this channel, because we definitely want to see that, and we definitely want to showcase that. And even if you don't, man, for you guys that are talking about these watches that are super sentimental, pass downs, please also post that in the community if you are comfortable with doing that, because I'd love to see the specific timepiece in person, if you will, on the actual community tab. Thomas Bailout is the founder. Might start collecting their watches. So you're really into it, man. I have to look into that. I will write that down on the playback as far as the chat goes. I'll take a look at it, Ben, and we'll bring it up on one of the Friday live segments as I always do. My dad is leaving me a Walmart $7 special. Yo, dude, Eric, and I just told you that this Casio that I wear every single day, dude, like if it's something special, if it's something that he wore, because you understand that our grandfathers and our fathers, they didn't have the whole full watch box. They had maybe three watches, one that was super dressy, one that they did garden work with, and one maybe that they was like a super beater, right? Like even outside of doing oil changes and garden work, or maybe it's the gym, maybe it's something they wanted to wear at work where it was not too impressive, but it was impressive type of thing. And oftentimes they had one, right? The Gata watch was the one that they purchased, and that was it. And this Casio was a lot of that during that time that it was released in 89. So, and you could do a lot of things with it. So here's the deal, brother. Just because it's a $7 watch, like don't define it by the cost of the watch, my friend. Define it by the fact that your father had left you something, if he is willing to, and if he wore it, that's all the more because he has his war battle scars on the watch, and he had his love, and it went through his daily process, right? And everything else. He had to come up, he put food on the table, roof over your head and everything else. So it means so much more, is what I'm saying, man. I'm hoping to visit Vario in October, heading over to Singapore. Dude, and I know that you're going to shoot content for sure. I really hope Windup Vario comes to Windup as well. I've never met them in person, him or his wife, and the vibe that I get over the emails. Actually, I have a Vario watch with me, I believe. Yeah, I do. This is the new A11S S for solar, and it's a fantastic watch for sure. I think it was released at just the right moment. Anybody who had a back page or archives of a plan to do a watch that was more of affordable. We talk about tariffs, we talk about the price increases of everything, just cost of living alone far before the tariffs. So having a more affordable option, we saw Christopher Ward do it with a diver selection as well. So Vario just came out with this, and and listen, for the price, and it's not even about for the price. Forget about that. Forget about for the price. It's a good watch, period. And it is extra nice that it is sub. I think we're right at $200 after taxes, a little bit more. But I thought that was a phenomenal reach. And James, you're gonna have, I would imagine, a fantastic time having to talk with him. And please do us the favor and take us with you when you have that interaction, because I'm a big Vario fan. This F91W is on a Vario straps, Vario watches. It's not lost on me that if you're a brand that came out with straps and you transition to watches and you do both well, that is very impressive, because it's very easy to get distracted from the first thing or the second thing, and maybe something else falls short. But whether you're getting a strap or you're getting a watch from Vario, it's a fantastic product. Not only that, they also go the further extent of giving you creations and designs that we don't see anywhere else. And that Reversa is a perfect example for it. And I know that he's not done yet. So who knows what we're gonna see next. Hey guys, I'm new here and I want to know how to build a proper watch collection. Can you guys help? That's a troll. Don't answer that. That guy is the GOAT of watch collecting and doing live streams and everything else. So don't fall in that trap. I see what I did there. Don't fall in that trap. I'm envious of that too, Skylar. Yeah, man. I'm envious of having that passed down for sure. Check out Farrah Man or Isotope Trap. Or you know what, Trap? I got a suggestion for you. I don't know if you've ever heard of a watch called Panerai. It's an actual diver watch, right? There's a lot of history and brand excellence for it. So if you're looking for a first timepiece, guys, just so you know, that's an inside joke. I would never recommend that to be your first watch unless you love it and you have a significant reason to pull the trigger on that watch. But yeah, Panerai is a dive watch for sure. Just letting you guys know. I really want the Francis Scott limited edition from Sal Baltimore. You know, I've heard a lot of excellent things. And again, I met Sal Baltimore first time at the Philly show the first year. I'm really hoping they come the second time around. But I'll tell you what, man, and it's something that I mentioned in the interview process that we did yesterday at the wind-up shop. I buy the brand before I buy the watch. And I believe the gentleman's name is Alan. great personality, great energy, like wanted to be there, wanted to interact, wanted to have a conversation with you, had laughs with him and everything else. And I'll tell you, the watches are phenomenal for sure. So I have to revisit the collection. I have to take a good little peek at it because I could definitely see myself buying the watch now that I bought the brand and everything else. So I have nothing but great things to say about Sal Baltimore. And I say South Baltimore. I don't say T South Baltimore. You see what I'm saying? You got to correct the pronunciation over time. Hello, Puerto Rico is in the building from Rolo C. I bought yesterday a vintage Boulevard for $50, dude, and that's a steal. And guess what? We were talking a little bit about vintage yesterday because again, the wind up shop had that vintage, and I want to educate myself in that realm. I personally am not so much attracted to actual vintage, but I that doesn't mean that I don't adore it from a distance. That doesn't mean that I can't appreciate watches that may not be for my personal collection, but I still get it. I understand what that watch means. And Boulevard back then that you bought that watch in isn't the Boulevard that it is now. Not saying that one's better than the other, but it had that history, it had that come up and everything else. So congratulations on that price, especially. And if vintage is for you, stay tuned because when we go to wind up, and in fact, there is a specific gentleman also at the Philly show. So we're gonna hit a double header because they have vintage dealers at both shows. And I'm going to for sure cover that. And I may just cover that for you, Rolo. So save some pennies for something you might enjoy and see. Mr. Ben 10, you sound like a stellar man. You trolling today, man. You had your bowl of troll today, your bowl of oat trolls. Ben 10, you're right. Think about the word. Hey, have a great day, guys. James, have a great day, brother. Thank you for popping in. I do appreciate you. Thank you for the insight, brother. I already got an edifice and 7 Casios. Must convince the wife to let me get that black carbon dial. I don't have an advice for that. I don't have an advice for that. You're on your own. You know your wife better than I do. Uh, cut the grass, mow the lawn, wash the dishes. Go ahead and buy her something pretty first. Whatever works, bro. Whatever works for you is what's gonna work at the end of the day. So good luck with that. That's all I have to say, Megazoid. I want this watch too. Okay, you guys are talking amongst yourself. I just got a San Martin watch. Yeah, I have a San Martin watch in my collection. I've shown that to you guys. I don't have it with me today. San Martin makes phenomenal watches at a great price point. They've really kind of separated themselves with that mass-produced idea of Chinese brands. The finishing alone, spec wise, they're putting more into not the movement but everything else on the outside, whether it be the finishing, whether it be the bracelets. I actually used the bracelet that came with the watch that I got. It's a mesh bracelet with on the fly adjustment and quick release. See what I'm saying? So they also are giving features in the bracelet alone that are a little ahead of some brands already. Now that doesn't mean everything because the watch head is what matters the most. Most you could shop a bracelet, but at the end of the day, you still got to give flowers. And just so you guys know, if you don't, Zheng Hung is the sister company of San Martin because what was inevitably going to happen as they try to go ahead and move forward with having more design factors that weren't just homages. I think they quickly realized that there's a whole market of enthusiasts that they tapped into through their mass-produced homage styles. Now not so much even with the original San Martin, but to go full-fledged and to be daring, they opened up Zheng Hung, which is a web-based brand, only purchase watches through the website. And that's an actual micro brand that focuses on designs that are really out there. And they may be for you, they may not be for you, but it's very brave because the biggest thing that we get as feedback, or at least what I hear in the communities and the chatter, is people don't want to see too many homages anymore. It gets design fatigue, if you will, and I understand that. So for you to go as far as trying to redesign casings altogether, they make really large casings, like an onion shaped with the war drum that they started off with. Very brave because I think they know that that's going to immediately not be for some people and it may be for others, and they moved forward with that, and I think that eventually they're going to strike gold. That's what's going to happen, right? Like they're eventually going to make a design that is out there, but it's received very heavily, and at that point, man, you're the person doing it first, and you've done the hard work and homework of exploring something completely different. or it will be catch up on chat. Let me see what you guys are saying. Talking amongst yourselves. Sounds like you sounds like you met you. It looks like Sal will be at Philly. Okay, they will. Eric Mack, welcome in. They will be at Philly. Fantastic, fantastic. And then we will get them on camera. I think Travis, I think he's going to the Philly show too. So strap in, buckle in, baby, buckle in. I don't think you're prepared for what's gonna happen in Philly, and then what's gonna happen in New York if the two of us go fusion. Oh, it's gonna be crazy. Super chat. I took out the trash this morning and washed the dishes, so I deserve the new Sal Baltimore Francis Scott Key special edition. You don't gotta convince me. I think you deserved it the second you said you wanted it. So you can put it in chat all you want, my man. You know what you got. You do the right thing. Do the right thing. You got to do the right thing. Collecting is easy. You like it, you buy it. Just remember to get a Raleigh. There you go. Mic drop. Made in Japan used to be something not considered valuable years ago. Look at them now. China will be the same way. By the end of the decade, a force to be reckoned with. Megazoid, truth, man. You're just spitting facts. I mean, we're seeing a very rapid increase in what China and Japan are producing. Japan a little bit ahead. Obviously, we have the juggernauts of the world, when we talk like Grand Seiko and Seiko itself. Um, but yeah, I think you're right, man. And I have my suspicions of certain movements that will be like the PT 5000 that doesn't get a lot of love right now, but that's a Chinese produced movement off of the ETA, right? Like just like the SW 200. So all it really takes is, let's say, somebody like in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong has great facilities, it has great manufacturing. There's good and bad everywhere, but they have these dust-free, dust-controlled. And I know this because I spoke to brand owners that have their stuff manufactured, and they gave me the reports of their failure rates, and they gave me the reports of everything else. So, there's definitely a lot of possibility. And as they tap into the resource that I speak of watch enthusiasts, and realize that those are the things. All it takes is for somebody like, let's say, Casio. A lot of people were screaming at the top of the roof that they should have did in-house. But if Casio were to say, hey, guys, just to let you know, we made sure and we did all the things. It's all about opening the books. It's all about transparency. It's something that we value when we talk about, let's say, Island Watch, or we talk about Erebus by Defactor, right? Because at the end of the day, they're giving us their ideas and they're giving us their business models behind the scenes. So if somebody like Casio was just to do a little bit like that and take a PT 5000, that's a high beat movement, and it can hold its weight, as long as we are seeing the behind the scenes of that being made, and they talk specifically about the finishing on each individual parts, the oils that are being utilized and everything else. I think that there will be the start of a trust, especially being backed by such a big brand. And then we can go for there. But now that may be a slippery slope as I'm speaking this out loud, because it rubbed people the wrong way for the NH35. So to make that jump from there to there may not be the smartest play right away. And for some, it doesn't matter. Like for me, it doesn't matter. The NH35 is fantastic. So let's not go off on too much of a tangent. But I do agree with you, Megazoid. Japan, China, they've been making a lot of swift moves. They've been doing a lot of elevating, and we're going to see very, very impressive stuff from them very shortly. I don't even think it's going to take, I think you said the end of the decade. Yeah, I think I agree with that timeline. Yes. Yes. Um, I heard you loud and clear. She nodded. She nodded too here. Good thing is my wife had started to sometimes wear a Casio tank. Yeah, dude. If I was gonna give you any cheat codes, and it took a minute for me to put wifey on to watches, now she has a full watch box with micro brands, with modded watches, with Casio. Like I'm in. You know what I mean? And she's starting to look. If we're gonna be serious real quick, it's just like the your partner may not understand it. Like you get it as far as what the watches really mean to you, because otherwise on the exterior it's like, yo, you're just buying a bunch of watches. Like what does it mean? Like I don't get it. Respectfully to everybody's partner, but if you let them dive into your world, and you have to do it very carefully, right? You can't force anything onto anyone, including the partner. But if you're able to explain that to them and hopefully get them roped in a little bit, it'll make it a lot easier. I'm so excited about something a watch collector to the point of starting my own channel. Thank you so much, Mr. Professional Santana, Professor Santana, bro. You had your bowl of oats, your troll oats. he Trap bought the mega size box of troll oats today. That's what's going on right here. Okay, see, the show must go on, and you got to get ready to pivot. You never know when your moderator might turn on you. You see what I'm saying? You give them the keys to the castle, and then they want to sit on the throne. Pause. He's the goat. He's the goat. He's the goat. I'm just joking, but I see you're in rare form today. Let's just say that. Let's keep it family friendly here, brother. There's no limit with luxury watches. The prices are, and I'll tell you what, Ben 10, there's no limit to what you consider to be luxury. Because I'll tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. A lot of these in fact, all of these watches are luxury to me at the end of the day, man. I mean, I got a gold plated dial here. I've got Zelos, which makes a supple uh, bracelet, as you guys know, meteorite dial in there. I mean, Ben, what is luxury, right? Like, should we go down that rabbit hole? And I know, and listen, I'm not picking on you, bro. I know what you meant, but I use that as an advantage point to make sure that my message is very clear. Even the F91W, luxury. It's not food, it's not water, it's not shelter. But yeah, you could go to a lot of places with it for sure. Micro brands are addictive. Yeah, for sure, for sure. 100%. Did I miss something? No. Let me go down. Raymond D is in the building. Good morning. Thelonious Monk, bro. Congratulations, by the way. I think you're having your first one. Congratulations, Thelonious Monk, man. I was wondering where you were at, bro. I was like, yo, where's my boy Monk? Where the monk at? I've been lost without you. I haven't had my encyclopedia. But then again, Ben 10, I'm not gonna say he filled your shoes. I'm gonna say you came back to a competition arena over here. So you and Ben 10, whoo, with Trap Vision 3D and everybody else, I'm nice. I got all the information I want. I'm like Henry Ford, bro. Like when they took him to court, you guys know that story? When they're like, oh, how can you make all these outlandish things about your cars and this and that? What gives you the right? How do you think you're so intelligent? He's like, let me tell you something. He's like, I got a button in my office on my desk. You know what that button does? What does it do? When I press that button, when I need something and I need information, the right person walks through that door and they're an expert on the situation. So what do I got to know everything for? I'm running the company, I'm running the brand, and then I have the team. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I got here, man. I just got to press the button, hit record, and poof, you guys appear, and I appreciate you guys. We're not ending. We're not ending. Not just yet. Soon, though, we're going to land this plane in an hour, just so you guys know. So if you got something to say, except for Trap Vision 3D today. Trap, you might be on a timeout today. I'm not too sure. What do you guys say? Thelonious Monk, man. Always appreciate to see you, bro. The other day I was sparking about the Atelier watch. Yeah, man, fantastic watches for sure, bro. And I think they're also going to be at one, if not both of the shows. And tell you what, man, I don't think I put that watch on any of their watches in my hands just yet. Mm. So if I get the opportunity, I'm all over it. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully we get some press passes, and this way I can have a more controlled environment before the masses come in. Because my plan, I got crazy plans, just so you know. I don't even know what the press pass, if it's all 3 days. But my mission for Windup specifically, because it's going to be a little easier for me to do in Philly, but my mission, I don't know how many brands are going to be there, but I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, tune in for that, either playback or live, up to you, because I ain't editing. I'm going to live stream. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is good. But I'll tell you what my mission is going to be. I'm going to stop by every lemonade stand and show you every watch and let them give you the elevator pitch. But I don't want it to be the generic version of the elevator pitch, right? I want it to be like, well, how do you stand different than anybody else type of questions. And I want them to speak candidly. I want them to speak comfortably about their watches, of course. But I want to cover every single brand that's there. So, pray for strength for me, if you will. I'm going to do the best that I can. Thanks for the fun live session, brother. Much love. Dude, thank you for the fun live session. How about that? It only is fun. I'm only screaming in the middle of the public at a device if not for your attendance. So, Dean, thank you so much for spending the time that you had available and joining in with the chat for sure. The Zelos bracelet is not supple. Why you gotta do that, bro? Because here's the deal, Ben. You may have experienced a more suppler bracelet, and therefore that's your perspective. And I'm not trying to say that those bracelets are the best ever. I'll never make that claim because, first of all, even if that is true, you never know tomorrow what somebody might do, and it might be more suppler. So you may be trolling me now because but whatever, bro. There's a Oscar Nunez with the super chat. Appreciate you. Good morning, folks. What's going on here? We're talking about a couple watches and things like that. Appreciate the super chat, bro. Appreciate the love. Yeah, I got my baby girl. Yo, blessings, man. Blessings on the new family member, Thelonious. Wow, man. Congratulations, dude. I don't know you for a tremendous amount of time, but the vibe that I got from you when I bumped into you at Windup, bro, you're just a cool, calm cat, collective, and I already know that you're going to be a great father for sure. And of course, here comes the lawnmowers, right? This is the show must go on. Let me know, guys, if the sound is too loud and you can't hear me. I will move if that's the case. It was a nice interview yesterday. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Luxury is in the finish, I think. There are levels, there's levels to it. Yeah, I hear you. Micro brands do an excellent job, but there are levels to the finishing. And I'll tell you what, Ben, there are levels, but I think there's also diminishing returns when it comes to finishing. And I only mean that with what you can see on the naked eye and what you could see from certain distances. Of course, I understand that if you appreciate what you can put in a loop and see the difference for sure. But I also feel that, from naked eye and from a certain distance, it's harder and harder as these watches get so good to really make that distinction, which is why a lot of times people will lean more into the design factors and or specifications and of course the fit for their wrist and combine all of those things. But I think that's just one of the subject areas where at a let's say $1,000 watch and a $2,000 watch, it's just harder to see that difference, if that makes sense. And I don't know if you agree with that, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying because look, you're going to be looking for that, right? You're going to be looking for that. Lawnmower status. Monk legacy continues. Yeah, man. Start them young too, man. I showed you that block watch. Save that money up for the block watch, man. Get that watch on wrist for sure. It's a fantastic kid watch. Not that the Zelos is bad, but by not being supple, it is all right. You don't think it's supple? That's fine. It's just well done for the price. Yeah, no, dude. Let's not split hairs. If we're bringing in the price factor for sure, which is something that I'm getting away from, but it's always relative. Yeah, it's going to be a very hard argument to say that for the price for sure, you're getting a fantastic finish. You're getting a fantastic job done in that arena. Well done for the price. Manufacturer cost is limited to be affordable. What's up, Skylar? Joining the Sunday Live. Nick Figueroa, welcome in, bro. Thank you for joining me yet again. I wanted to chat more yesterday, but I was traveling out. Don't worry about it, man. I couldn't really chat when I was doing that live. So that's why I really was encouraged to do this because I wasn't able to chat with you guys. I tried to leave a message in chat before going live yesterday that I was going to be limited in doing so, but, things happen, and that's that. So I caught up on chat. Let me see if there's any other watches that I want to show you guys that I have with me. You guys know that I brought up Noctua watches, the Manly Man watch, or for a woman as well. Rugged, durable, bead blasted. Get your study. I love the Noctua watch. You guys know that. I showed you the Barrow, Zelos, Wise. Yeah, I pretty much brought the watches that I brought with me yesterday. I didn't showcase all of them because some of them were at Windup already. And I wanted to make it relative to the conversation to perhaps showcase something new. So I showed the Noctua and I showed the Wise to Teo yesterday while we were doing the interview to get his live reaction from it. And he liked both watches. And I'll tell you what, behind the scenes, I was asking the question to see if possibly we can get Wise over to Windup. Now, I'm a nobody, like who am I to even go that route? But I just brought up the conversation. I think that Wise is a brand that watch enthusiasts should be exposed to for several reasons. And I hope that they're able to facilitate that, if not this year, hopefully next year, and we can get them at the show for sure, because what they're bringing to the table for the price point, that was the biggest thing. That also, what you didn't see on camera, off camera, everybody was saying that at the price point, that watch should be a little bit more. It should be actually closer to $1,000. So the fact that they're coming in for everything at seven and change, closer to 800, is phenomenal. It's phenomenal for sure. Let me see what you guys are saying. Thanks, Trav. Anyone here have a San Martin? I have a San Martin, man. What am I, chopped liver, bro? I got a San Martin. Yeah, and it's a phenomenal watch. I talked about it a little bit. I don't know if you were here, but I got a San Martin, and I know several individuals in chat. Thelonious Monk, Thelonious Monk with this. I should be super chatting you, bro. You just had a baby. What are we doing, bro? I do appreciate you with the super chat. Might have missed it, but what are your thoughts on the Christopher Ward 660? Last Friday, I did talk about the 660. I overall, the gist is this: super impressive, very on brand for Christopher Ward to do such a thing. It's something that we expect, but we're still surprised about. The fact that they were able to achieve such a small dimension, the fact that they're able to go ahead and modify the movement to do so. The second hand not being there, I'm not going to say would be a factor where I wouldn't buy the watch. That wouldn't stop me. It bothers me a little bit, but not all the way. But if you factor in everything else that you're getting out of that 6.6 millimeter watch and how they're going into the guts and making it their own, it only, listen, anything that they're able to achieve at this level and at this point is going to be a new road paved for micro brands. Yes. So I think that we need to buckle in, and we need to pay close attention to what Christopher Ward is doing. They have already given us transparency. They've already given us lemonade stands where they have a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of just a good experience that they're trying to deliver. So I'm very impressed by the watch. I hope that it gets on a whole bunch of people's wrists. I get why you purchase it. If you do purchase it, it's not specifically for me, but I something. If I was gonna go with a time only, or better yet, a dress watch. Oh yeah. Because it's got that sports integrated bracelet too. They also did, dude. It's just so much to talk about. They also did the manufacturing to the butterfly clasp, where they make it thinner, they make it flush. The way it attaches, it doesn't overlap on itself, adding to that thickness. Instead, it attaches further out. They think of everything. Just saying. What are we talking about? Yeah, I want the 660. I love it. Ben, you want everything. You can have it. Just make sure that you post it. I got to live vicariously through you, Mr. Ben. And I'll tell you what, I got a bone to pick with you, Mr. Ben. I'm still waiting on that brew picture. I'm going to need you to put that brew on today. We got a long week and you got no excuses, and I've got the community post open. What I need to do, what you to do, is when this live ends, bro, I need you to go ahead and grab that brew, put it on your wrist, and let me see a picture of it. Please. Do I gotta beg you live, bro? I love it. If you like it, I love it. I have the SN. There you go. San Martin. 30 meters water resistance. It's kind of whack. Dude, it's a dress watch, though. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand, like, it gives that sportier feel, so I understand why your knee-jerk reaction is to say that that water resistance is whack, bro. But at the end of the day, you got to understand that, and as you know, who am I talking to? When you go that thin, it becomes incredibly harder to keep the seals and everything else. You're losing you're not that you're losing, but you're also, listen, like, you're sacrificing everything, not only the second hand, but also the thickness to put bigger water resistant gaskets in the watch altogether. So as I always say, water resistance is derived solely, not solely, but mainly from a watch's gaskets, and how, because if the gasket fails, I don't care if it's a screw down crown. Understand, underwater, there's pressure. So even if you screw that sucker in, it doesn't matter. There's pressure coming all angles. So the water's going to get in. And I don't remember if they did screws, but that wouldn't matter. The point is that the watch is not thick enough, I think, to get the thick enough gasket to make it completely waterproof for sure. So 30 meters is whack, but At the same time, I think somebody's getting that timepiece to dress up in, to be fair. Ben 10, he says, let's go. He wants the. Yeah, I'm looking around. Appreciate you, man. Super chat. He says, let's go, baby. Let's go. All the way up. 30 meters is the one with the super. You know when you sneeze and you stop and you sneeze again? That may happen with super chats. I may just be in the middle of a sentence and go back to the super chat that was prior, and mid sentence just goes. I must look crazy out here in the streets. Super chat. Appreciate you, Ben 10. You're the man. You're the man. The super chat party just started. Oh man, you guys are gonna get me evicted from a public location. They're gonna say, "Sir, you can record in public, but what the heck is a super chat?" We may have to go in the shade too. With the sun is kicking up over here. The super chat voice is about to go hoarse. That's why I have water with me, sir. Exactly. Yeah, that's a slight issue with the lower water resistance because it's a sports bracelet. Yeah, exactly. That's why it can be confusing. But we see a lot in the watch community, or at least in the watch enthusiast brands, where something's made to look like something out of just aesthetic alone. So if you want me to relate it, the first thing that comes to mind is the anachronist straps, right? The zero pass straps. A lot of people have reactions from it because they immediately want to compare it to an end strap. You know, the I can't say it. I don't know if I could say it, but it looks like that kind of strap, but it doesn't have that safety function from the pins. But at the end of the day, sometimes aesthetically on a watch, it's meant to look like something, even if it doesn't perform like something else, because there may be somebody out there that's like me. I'll be honest with you, that 660 is technically for a guy like me, even though I'm not going to run towards it because I don't like the way regular dress watches look. I like more of the sporty look. So I'm only going to put it in weddings and those formal type of settings, and therefore I'm not going to have any aquatic issues. And 30 meters of water resistance, if it rains, you don't have to worry and everything else. So, like, my other question is, what are you planning to do with set watch as well, right? The F77 is 100 meters and thin with integrated bracelet. I mean, then you were able to achieve that. How thin is it? How thin is it? Is it as thin? Because listen, when you start to get to a level of thinness, even if it's less than 1 millimeter, it still makes a drastic difference in how it's supposed to perform. I'm not trying to just give them an out, and maybe I'm just talking off the cuff, but I would imagine that I don't know what's the difference in thinness, but Ben, let's have a conversation about it. Let's do some, this is what it's about, right? Learning professional. Let's find out why one was able to over the other, if not what I'm saying is to be true. That was just my theory, at least. Alonius Monk. Call the okay, you talking amongst each other. Trap Vision 3D with the super chat. Jack Mason collar versus Saker collar. Ooh, wait, collab versus Seiko collab. Oh, bro, come on, stop it. You just wasted a super chat question. That's an easy one, bro. What are we talking about right now? What are we talking about now? As much as I love Seiko, and you guys know I do, and you know the reason why. Jack Mason. I mean, hello, their collab for sure. I mean, I think no matter how you talk about the collaboration and how you appreciate the collaboration, maybe you appreciate the actual soda company, maybe you appreciate the actual brand, but either way, the show must go on as I pivot over to this shaded area. Either way, on both occasions, I think that people appreciate more of whom was collaborated with, not the actual watch brands, but the actual soda brands. I think that the Dr. Pepper is a little more niche in the soda arena, and they're Texas derived from. So it make it make sense type of deal where it's like, yeah, well, they're from Texas, and so is Jack Mason. And a lot easier for Seiko to also facilitate such a collaboration. Not saying that Jack Mason doesn't have flowers or power in their presence, because they do, but I think that all around, and then if you talk about the watch itself aesthetically, Jack Mason, yeah, that's the level of details, and we all know how Seiko has been falling short with what they're producing in a manufacturing level of misalignments and stuff like that, and how Jack Mason is now transitioning to giving us those finer details of quality within the watch, whether it be hardness coating, whether it be loom blocks in the pursuit, whether it be going outside and getting Le Joux Perret now for the movements and everything else. So, you know, Jack Mason is not comfortable. They're like, okay, so what's next? And it may not be the case with, let's say, coming out with something completely brand new, because what Jack Mason essentially is doing is going back into their archives and showing and flexing what the brand can produce now at their level. Yes, they're now manufacturing their own stuff on certain parts, and they're paying more attention to detail, as I said before. So I think that ultimately, yeah, that's an easy one to answer, even though I took the long way home. You missed my super chat. I did, Megazoid. Hold on, I'll go right back, right meow. Megazoid with the super chat. I like that. You got the Joker super chat. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna pass out. I need a second. Super chat. Appreciate you, bro. I'm so sorry I missed it, man. I'm all over the place. You know how it goes, baby. You know how it goes. Let's get back. Let's get back. Where were we? Where were we? Jack Mason. Yeah. So for me, dude, and I think you knew the answer. You Trolsky. You're right, Trolsky. I got your super chat now. Ben 10 again with the super chat. I call that one the washing machine. Super chat. I appreciate you with the super chat. I appreciate with the super chat. I appreciate. It's like, did the connection go wrong? Yeah, just in my brain. Super chat. Appreciate you, bro. That's awesome. Lone Ranger. Yo, 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 yo. Lone Ranger, High Hole Silver, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that strolls in a New York windup on a horse. What better way to celebrate with a super chat? We call that the gallop, by the way. So we got the washing machine, we got the Joker, and now we got the gallop. So we're getting a full collection here. That's gonna be a royal flush at the end of the day. Just saying. You're right. The F-77 is thicker. You know, sometimes I get it right, bro. If you throw enough stuff against the wall, but dude, that's just what. And I listen, when I said the reason why was the thickness, it was just my brain saying, because I know the importance of gaskets, you know, that has to be something there. I may be wrong, but again, I don't know how you would achieve it, man. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know how it would go for that, for sure. But yeah, the thickness is completely different. Lone Ranger again with this. Oh, silver. I told you, you might get a rewind on the super chats now. What are your thoughts on my thoughts on Mito? It's one of those brands, unfortunately, that I definitely know the name. I've definitely seen their watches. I just don't know enough to speak super education wise. Learning professional as it goes. I'll be quite honest with you. I know I've heard good things from them. I know that they've been brought up several times in the circles of conversation. I'm hoping that they're one of the brands that are at Windup that I could get more familiar with, or you know, going back to the wind-up shop, if I can request them to get that watch in and everything else. I'm not sure if they already had it there, because again, I could only focus on so much within the allotted time before it falls out of my head. Testing the super chat voice, bro. I got you. Trap Vision 3D with the and because it's Trap Vision 3D, he gets the super chat, dude. Appreciate you, man. The super chat voice is still on point. I am losing it though. You hear it getting raspy, right? This makes me want the Christopher Ward even more. I got that effect on you, bro. I got that. Don't come into the lion's den, Ben. If you don't, if you don't want to get bit, yeah. Listen, dude. All I like to do is like look at perspective, and you may have just saw like, let's say 50 meters of water resistance, and that turns you off rip. But this is what it's really all about, right? Being serious now, like all of us coming together as a community, having all those perspectives gives us those back and forth ideas where it's like, I never thought about it that way. You know what? Now I'm all right with 50 meters. See what I'm saying? Where back in the day, you would have said it's got to be 100 at least, minimum for my collection. But then when you buy the watch, if you buy the watch, you probably bought the watch already. See, when my wife's like, oh, don't eat those snacks, I'm like, you don't understand. In my mind, I already ate it. I'm just going through the motions at this point. So if you get that watch, you put it in your collection, and somebody goes, yeah, I was thinking about that too. And not that the point is to justify the watch that you purchased, but I'm just saying, you may say, and then you pass on that kind of, conversation that we have, and it's ebb and flow and it goes out there. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. What am I talking about? You understand better because you actually work on watches. I do. Yeah, no, that, and again, Ben, that's a good point, and that's something that I always make sure to say. And I always look, I don't try to push an agenda unless there's a very good reason. And I can tell you that building a watch, even if it's just one watch that you build, you start to understand little things like that makes sense. And then also, like, look, dude, not even outside of building watches, when you look a brand like, let's say, Vintage that always puts screws on the back of their case and they say 200 meters, and you're like, well, so then why do people do screw down, right? Like, people are like, don't you pose the question? Now, they do phenomenal finishing on the case back, so they want the orientation to be upright always. Why put all this work if you can't appreciate your artwork as is? But then you start to ask the question, that screws, it's screwed in with screws in the case back, but still has 200 meters. So where does those 200 meters of effective water resistance come from? I'm crazy. Skylar out here in the heat. Now I'm in the shade, bro, and the weather's a little cooler, so don't give me too much credit. Staying hydrated. Listen to me. Listen to me. Water is the essence. This is a Trader Joe. This has electrolytes. Okay, it has the right pH. I'm fancy with my agua because water, 90% of your body's made of it. And I can't do this live as long as I do without it, which reminds me that we are way over the time and your boy's hungry. So we're going to land this plane, ladies and gentlemen, right now. So if you have something to say it right now. Otherwise, you have to wait till the next live, which I hope you join me in. Ah, super chat. I really appreciate you guys, man. The conversation that we have too, man. I love it. I love this, to be honest with you. What are we talking about? I personally think that the Bel Canto Classic looks better than the OGs. And I'll tell you what, Thelonious, at the wind-up shop that I was at yesterday, there was a gentleman purchasing the Worn and Wound collaboration with Brew. He had on him, on his persons, he had the Bel Canto with the Aventurine. Oh, titanium. Oh, and I'm walking by him, and he goes, Skylar, and I'm like, yeah, guilty. He goes, I recognize the voice, and I was like, oh snap, I appreciate you. He's like, yeah, watch it, and I'm like, yo, that's cool. And he was rocking the Bel Canto, and I'll tell you something, the Aventurine on the Bel Cantos, magnifico, magnificent. So, the classic. I think on the Aventurine it was the classic too, if I remember correctly, because the difference is in that little time only section, and you don't you remove the loom and you get the Roman numerals, if I'm not mistaken, and it made sense, right? Something so dressy to get away from the loom, like the Aventurine on its own gives that wow factor, and then to have the Roman and everything else, it was yeah, man, it was a really nice watch for sure, for sure. I personally think that I read that. Y'all have a great, yeah, man. We're wrapping it up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this live. I hope that if you didn't have time to check out the interview that I did yesterday, I had a phenomenal experience at the wind up shop. They're looking to grow it. Please also note that I didn't show you guys the other section of it, which is where they have all of their watches open. I want to say they had maybe 300 to 400 watches, maybe more, all types of brands. So if you are able to make it, if you are in New York, if you are traveling, please make that a destination spot. Don't just go to Manhattan. Leave Brooklyn in that manifest for you to stop by and just really be treated like a king and the queen that you guys are, and enjoy these timepieces, because the customer service that they have all over there, shout out to Teo, shout out to Ricardo, shout out to the whole team. They're just doing it the right way. And the ethos is to give you guys the experience that you should be given when going into set occasion. You like that? That's good. The Aventurine, I think, is the Atlas Watch Society. Or yeah, it was. And I think it was one of the rarer pieces. I forget how many he said it was limited. That being said, we got to limit this live. And as always, I appreciate you guys for spending your super chat. I got you, right? You thought I was gonna, for spending your most valuable asset, which is time. And I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your weekend. Polonius, again, congratulations, brother. God bless you. Peace.